All right, firstly, we want to get our diffuse map. So go over here, press O, and then select your image. All right, so I'm just working with this basic rock texture. So we can edit our diffuse map here if we want to. You can't really notice the difference with this texture, but let's just say remove the shadow. So on your right is going to be the edited diffuse texture from Materialized, and your left is the original texture. Firstly, we want our height map. We can work off of that for all the other maps. So press create here. And then on the right, you can see our height map. And the left, we can see our original image. I have original diffuse selected because I want to work off of the image that I imported, because I'm not going to be using Materialize's diffuse map. For height maps, the lighter the color, the more the area will pop out on the object. The darker the color, the more the area will sink in to the object. So for me, I want my crevices all black, and then I want the rocks all white. So that way they can get the biggest pop. Now you have some presets here. You can mess around with them. Details obviously will give you more detailed image. You can mess around with the settings as well. Get the image to where you'd like it to be. Final bias is just how black or white the image will be overall. So once you're done, click Set as Height Map, and then you will have that ready for the future. After that, we want to make our normal map. So click Create, and then you'll see our normal map. Now typically, you can just leave this alone, but if you would like to edit it, I recommend starting off with the presets here. Overall, you'd like the total image to be purple. Once you're finished with your normal map, click Set as Normal Map on the bottom. Next, we'll make a metallic map. This isn't needed at all on every single texture, but as the name implies, if you're making a texture with metal qualities, we'll need a metallic map. You could also use a metallic map as a specular map. So click Create, and now you can see our metallic map. White on a metallic map represents the metal parts. These will be the parts with the most shine on them. Black will be less metal parts, or parts with less shine on them. As with the other textures, play around with the settings to get your desired map. Once you're done, click Set as Metallic on the bottom. Up next is the Smoothness map. This implies how glossy an object is, or how clearly an object reflects something. White represents reflectiveness, while black represents dullness. So we'll click Create for Smoothness map. Since I'm working with rocks here, I want the rocks to be white and the crevices to be as dark as possible. Base smoothness controls how smooth the image will look overall. Once you're done, click Set as Smoothness. We won't be using the next two maps, but I'll try to explain how they work. The edge map is kind of like a bump map, but more focused on edges. Creating them works exactly like making a smoothness map or a height map. An AO map essentially defines how much light will appear on a part of a texture. This is not used for diffuse textures, however, so we would not be using this. To export the files, either click BMP, JPEG, or PNG, and then click Save Project. Select an empty file, name your texture, and then press Select. I recommend using either JPEG or PNG. Now we're in Blender, in a general scene. Go up and click Add, and go to Mesh, and then Plane, delete the default cube by right-clicking on it and then going down to delete, and zoom in with the scroll wheel to your plane. Then grab the timeline below you, drag it up, go to the far left to this clock-looking icon, click on it, and then go to Shader Editor. Then either go to Material Preview or Rendered View, it doesn't matter which one. Once you have your plane selected, press New at the top of your bottom screen, then zoom in a little bit, and here we have our base texture. Now you can either add an image texture by clicking Add, going to Texture, then Image Texture. Open your image from your file and get the textures that way. Or you can keep your folder up. Make sure you have your folder selected. And then drag in all the images that way. First, start with our normal map. Now for everything that is not our base color, you want to go to Color Space and make sure this is non-color. Once you've done that, go to Add, go to Search, and then type in Normal Map. Click on that, drag it, then take the color node of your image and drag it to the color node of your normal map, and plug that into the norm of the actual texture. There you can see some bumps and stuff. You can change the strength as you like. I'll keep it just a little above 1. Next, find your diffuse. Keep it on sRGB for color space and simply plug it in to the base color. Boom, now we can start to see our color. Next, we're going to insert a metallic map. Go to Color Space and make sure this is non-color, and drag it. Take the color node and insert into metallic of your texture. Now for me, since I'm using rocks, which aren't a metallic object, I'm going to put this in my specular. Next, we're going to do our smoothness map. Go to your smoothness map. Make sure non-color is selected for color space. Then drag the color node to the roughness of the texture. Now you can start to see some more reflectiveness. Now grab your height. Then go to Add, Search, then Displacement. Drag the displacement between the material output and between your height map. Make sure this is non-color in color space, and then attach that to the height, which you would then attach to the displacement. And you can start to see the texture gets a bit more grainy. You can adjust this with scale. Typically, you want to scale it a bit less than the default. And that's how you can make a texture just using Materialize. Materialize has made texture creating a lot more simple for me. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything I could help with. I'll do my best. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.